Good evening, everybody. My name is Jonathan Fernandez, and this is TnB F1 2017, Season 4, Round 6. We're in Suzuka today. Looking forward to seeing an interesting race. With me today, I've actually got RZDV 2000, supposed to be in his McLaren, but joining me up in the commentary box today. Robbie, how are you?
One thing from you, Jonathan.
Good. Looking forward to seems like Nizmax has left the session, which means we'll be migrating host. Don't know who that host is.
The lobby at least still looks stable.
That's what we can hope for. Just hope for stability. Got a few cars out on track now. 11 in fact. 11 out of the 16. Obviously this is now Q1, the first of 3 qualifying sessions. At the end of this session, I think we'll just lose the one runner, and then we'll go through to Q2 with the top 15. But I'm not always sure how the game works that out.
The game has some strange ways of working out.
So it would be safe to just be top 13.
Cameron lost a part of his front wing, coming into the back of a Red Bull, and basically retired. Something like that. Through the S's.
So Detsika has retired from Q1 without setting a lap time, which means if nobody gets disqualified, he'll be starting from the back of the grid. A few cars now on their fast laps, another 2 on their out laps.
And Captain Ike is in the wall.
TnB DW becomes the first driver to go over the line and set a lap. Sets a 1:30.7. Pitt immediately goes second, and then Iggy 1:31.2.
That's not a bad lap to open the timing.
Not at all. We had a practice session earlier where we had a look at some of the lap times, and that's not a bad lap to start with. Look at that, little piece goes fastest with a 1:30.2. So a lot of pace early on.
Interesting enough, the judge is on a set of mediums.
Oh, he is on a set of mediums. I don't know why I'd be using them in Q1 though. Could understand in Q2 because you'd want to start on them.
Yeah. Maybe packed a lot of. Maybe went for harder set tire compound. That's why he has a set of mediums for quali.
It's going to follow Wazzy. Hasn't set a lap as of yet. Heading now towards that final chicane. Famous final chicane. He's going to go over the line now. And he goes second.
And that has been done in weeks.
That's correct. Maybe just holding back a little bit. Not going to show everything until the end. That's a 130.6. Now Gavin joining the 130s, 130.4. So your top four drivers all in the 130s, within half a second of each other. Still 11 minutes on the clock, so still a lot of time to come in, have another stint. Park Fermé rules are off, as I understand, so you can still adjust something if something doesn't feel right.
And pit joining goes into the pit does a 1310.
The 131.0 just missing out on the 130s, but close. And even Iggy there in 6th place, a 131.2, followed by 131.4 by Wezo. So actually that top 7 is a lot of pace.
Yeah, that's actually very close. So maybe might be a battle. We always get battles.
Just seeing Wazzy getting wheeled into the pits. Let's see if we can get a word with him.
That from us last week wheeling turn 1. It looks like turn 1. Yeah, it's turn 1.
Wazzy, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Wazzy, how's it going so far?
Yeah, just finding my feet, just getting the eye in.
Holding back a little bit, getting a feel for it.
Yeah, just getting a feel for it now at the moment.
Now tell me,
Unfortunately, I didn't have any running earlier, so just trying to get my eye in.
from our perspective up here, as you know, we can't see the weather report. Do you have anything interesting to report?
It's clear quality, but through the device is overcast, with the temperature dropping slightly, but no rain predicted. So
No rain predicted, but we know that in a full overcast race, it can sometimes happen.
oh yes,
So,
this is Jeff giving me the information. So yeah, things can happen.
Alright, I'm gonna let you get back out there. Enjoy.
Thank you. Will do.
Jonathan,
Yes.
interesting. Cam went into the 130.9 on a set of soft.
On a set of soft. And we know he's been putting in the practice laps. Maybe the work, all the hard work will pay off. We all know he's a quick driver. Just needs to keep his head. Comes into the pits now, and I wonder how many people will have noticed that he did that 130s on a set of softs.
This Max is coming into the chicane on a flying lap. Also doing it in reach. And that was a 131.1.
One 31.1, and we know he hasn't switched on the party mode. So we got one or two drivers that may be holding back. Obviously we've got the championship leader up in the commentary box, and that means that gap is coming down today. And worst possible scenario would be if DW took the victory. Although Gav is not far behind.
And there's also a little piece in the mix. I know.
Well, you're on 70, DW's on 54, and Gav's on 53. So, and we know Gav can be very quick at the circuit. Look at how close these lap times are now. Iggy's got a 1:31.2 and he's in 8th place. The 1:31.4 is only good enough for 10th. So a lot of pace.
We have a joiner, Toki, coming late.
As Toki joined the session. See, he's going to have to take control of the car. Hasn't appeared on any timing sheets yet, so not in a car.
No, I think he will only be able to join in the race.
Thought maybe he'd still be able to get in to Q1. But Iggy, he's improved at that time.
We also now moving to the 130.
He's gone onto a 1:30.6, and he's actually beaten Wazzy's lap time by 1,000th of a second. 1:30.663, 1:30.664. 1,000th of a second.
Not a bad lap.
Top three are all sitting in the pits. I think he's on a slow down lap.
Steamboat Gamer is on a fast lap.
Let's have a look. Springbok Gamer in 12th. Currently on a 1:32.1. He's looking to get up the field. I think he should be safe. Captain Ice and Death Seeker having retired from the session without setting a time.
Captain Ice lost his front wheel in turn 1 early in the session.
That's another thing we haven't even mentioned. Turn 1 at this racetrack on lap 1. That's going to be something interesting. Something that's much safer to watch from the commentary box.
Yes.
But so much more fun to drive.
That's also true.
Every time I go through that corner with a car anywhere near me, my heart rate goes up.
Steamboat Gamer improves, but he moves up into 11th.
Goes into the 131s at least, or 131.9. So showing some improvement in pace.
What a lap by Horsey.
131.7. Fossey is one of those drivers that he's simply improving from Grand Prix to Grand Prix, and occasionally he sets the lap times that shows he's got the pace. But Jean in 13th, I think he's on a fast lap, trying to improve that lap time. And he's decided against that.
Another difficult thing is going to be the pit entry, getting it spot on.
It's an interesting pit entry. It's actually got a lot of parts, a lot of elements to the circuit where you can destroy your race. And in a qualifying lap, everything's got to be right.
Yeah.
Just 30 seconds remaining on the clock for Q1.
The judge is up by 1.7 seconds. Oh, and we lost it coming through the chicane.
Gonna go over the line. Is he gonna go for one more? Does he have enough fuel? Might go for one more. Got over with 3 seconds left on the clock. No. Does not look like it. He is now retired from the session, and that's the end of Q1. And we'll have to wait and see who we lose from this session. Just have a look. Okay, it seems like we're only going to lose Death Seeker. Well, Little Piece, he got first place with that 1:30.2, really quick lap time considering it's Q1. DW 1:30.3 and Gav 1:30.4. That's your top three. Iggy in 4th, Wazi 5th, Cameron 6th, Pitt 7th, Nizmax 8th, Staffy 9th, and Weza 10th.
Now the interesting part comes with what strategies these guys are going to go for.
Absolutely, Q2 is it's an important part of qualifying. This is where you can decide what tyre to start on. Maybe go for a slightly slower lap in Q2, and I think all those guys in the top 10 know they'll be safe going out on the slower tyre, so they do have that option.
I don't think Cameron will have that option. He usually set off softs in Q1.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned in Q1, maybe I don't understand the advantage of using the softer tyre in Q1. You simply use it up and you don't have access to that tyre again, whereas if you use it in Q2, it becomes an option towards your strategy.
Looks like Force is the first car out on track.
Following him at the moment.
Yeah, he's the first car.
So he'll be the first one over the line. So he'll get that good feeling of the purple lap. Even if it lasts for a second, it feels good. Take it from me. Riding on board with Fossey. Let's see who's on what tyre. Looks like PW, Little Piece, Steffi, Iggy, and John all opting for the soft. Well, 5 cars out on their fast laps. 9 cars out on their out laps. So all 14 cars out on track. Obviously want to get a good qualifying position. Suzuka. It's a difficult track. Over 100% race distance. You're looking at a total of 53 laps. Can be daunting around this circuit.
Absolutely.
You say you're not a fan of this track, but you also say you're not a fan of Monaco, and you've won there a few times.
I'm starting to like Monaco. I'd rather do Monaco than Japan or Britain.
I actually enjoy Silverstone, the new layout.
No, I don't. And plus, not a bad lap, 132.1, and Cameron goes
Immediately, 130.3. That's on the set of super softs. That 130 he set in Q1 was on a set of softs.
And that goes 300 faster than Cameron.
Very close at the top. Where's the third with a 130.9? Little piece.
On a set of 12.
Little piece on the set of softs. That's a 130.2. And look at that. What is that? That's a 129.4. Gavin goes fastest on a 129.4. Well, where did that come from? I didn't see that coming. Nicely done.
So we might be looking at the high 128 for Q3 maybe.
Yeah, that just means the lap times are probably going to be a lot lower in Q3 than we first thought. Guys are quick. That lap time, that 129.4, that just changed the entire outlook. Nobody's gotten into the 129s yet. And he didn't just get into them, he took quite a chunk out of them.
Yes, he did. But Wazi is down in 8th.
Riding on board with TnB Wazi as he goes into the chicane. Trying to improve on that lap time. 130.8 activates DRS, and that's a 130.1. It's good for second place. Still think he's got more though. I think that'll only be revealed in Q3.
The judge does a 133 point, okay. Let me guess. 133.9.
So look at that. Look how many drivers are in the 130s. Between second and ninth. Got a lot of close lap times here. Since you're sitting up here in the commentary box, I hope that's not added pressure on the McLaren driver. Obviously racing on a circuit that is owned by Honda. Doesn't want to disappoint. Or crash in front of the Honda stand.
Probably a good thing that I'm not down there at this stage.
Because then you two might crash into each other at the Honda stand.
Yes.
Just looking for some action on track. Just got Forsley going around in.
One of the McLarens is coming out. I don't see any speakers coming out.
Judge on circuit, but he's coming into the pits. It's not a lot of action on track for the time being. Got Staffy on an outlap. Got Pitt on an outlap.
Interesting to see only 3 drivers are on the soft now, so are they changing strategies or?
Just the 3 drivers on the soft. Maybe going out on the softs and just not feeling safe for the top 10. Those lap times from 2nd, 9th, and even 10th, they're pretty close together, so it's not a safe place to be. Got Staffy in 12th, Springbok Gamer in 13th. We know they're both potentially fast drivers. They could break into that top 10. So ninth and 10th, TnB Weather and Forsley don't seem to be too worried about their position at the moment. They're in the pits.
Staffy loses it just in front of the bridge. The part of the track I struggle with that.
This is the only figure of 8 circuit on the F1 calendar. Something it's famous for. We're riding on board now with 7th place Pete Bellows. He's in the other McLaren. This is the McLaren test driver taking over today. Did you get stage fright in front of the Honda circuit? 3 minutes remaining on the clock. 3 minutes and 20 seconds. You want to be specific. It's going to go around. He's going to try and improve on that lap time. Try and get himself up the order. Maybe get himself closer to his teammate. That would be an interesting result.
What a lap by Iggy. From top to second.
It's a 1. I didn't know he enjoyed it that much. That is that's still 0.6 of a second. See how it translates into Q3.
He's off into the gravel.
I was riding on board when that happened, just lost it on what seemed to be an inlet, didn't seem to be pushing. The track you can lose it on very easily. Springbok Gamer, sorry about that, Springbok Gamer, he's in 13th, in the second of the Force Indias. He's obviously in danger of dropping out.
He's running in lean, so I don't think.
So he'll be on an in-lap. He's going around.
He's not going to have enough fuel to finish the lap.
I don't think he has enough time to get around anyway.
Staffy couldn't increase, so Staffy is out of qualifying.
Well, from 2nd to 7th, you've got 0.3 of a second. Obviously that doesn't include Gavin's time. Because that just throws a spanner in the works. But it's not over yet. I think we're still going to see something interesting in Q3. And there's a few drivers holding back.
Loading on board with Weza.
I'm on board now. Going through this crucial part of the circuit, the S's. Now the hairpin. Very important how you get out. Good traction on the way out of the corner. Should be safe in 9th. He's pushing, so maybe just looking to improve. Everything looks clean. Let's see if he can improve on that 9th place, a 130.9. Oh, and look at that. Where did that come from? That's a 130.0. And that takes him 2nd right at the end there. He was obviously also very light on the fuel. But well played.
Interesting how this, while we were watching Weza on his flying lap, of course he has left the session. Hopefully we can get back in time for Q3.
Well, if I had told you an hour ago that a 130.3 would only be good enough for 8th place, What would you think? I thought that was a pretty good lap time. It's a 129.4. With Q3 still to come. Are we going to get something faster than that in Q3?
I think so, Jonathan. I think so. Even for 9th place, a 130.5. That's also impressive.
Just waiting now for the session to end. Well, there we have the results at the end of Q2. We have Gavin with that lap time. I don't know where that came from. That was a 129.4. Nicely done. TnB Wesley second with a 130.0 right at the end there. Surprised us all. Iggy as well, 130.0 in third. Then fourth place Wazzy, Little Piece fifth. There's Max sixth. Cameron seventh. DW in eighth. Pitt in ninth. And I believe that would be Forsey in 10th. Seems like he's, I don't know if he'll be back. I don't know if he can join Q3. Will we go through with a top 9? Seems like we're going through with a top 9. Should be able to rejoin for the race. Hope so. So the clock has started counting down. No one has left the pits as of yet.
And Pete is the first one to leave it.
McLaren wanting to get out there early. Actually a rather long lap. So in Q3, it's actually safer to get out there early, set your lap, but you've got time for that second stint. You don't want to rush.
Yeah.
Bad times at Japan and longer tracks like Belgium where I've just miscalculated and I haven't been able to go out on a second run. Got 7 of the runners out on track currently on their out lap. 2 still sitting in the pits. Heard from Wazzy earlier, overcast conditions for the entire race. We've seen that change in the past. Might want to just check with one of the drivers just before the race. It's sort of like when you hold 2 smartphones next to each other and they give you 2 different weather reports for the same thing. Don't believe it just yet. All 9 drivers out on track now. TnB Wazzy, TnB DW, and TnB Weather all on their out lap. As I say that, Wazzy begins his quick lap. Still waiting for the first driver to come over the line. I think the first driver to leave the pits was Pitt.
Yes.
Obviously everyone on the super softs. At this point it's give it everything.
And was he backed off on his flying lap?
Maybe not happy with something.
There, Max lost it underneath the bridge.
Seems to be a difficult part of the circuit. Second incident we've seen there in a short time. Iggy goes fastest for the 130.1.
Gavin coming around the funnel bend. Another 129.1.
He goes faster than he did in Q2. Q2 was a 129.4, and no one really got close.
And
now
that lap from
Cameron in the McLaren, 129.6. He's been holding back apparently. Didn't see that coming earlier either.
No, I didn't as well. Really didn't see that coming.
So your top two both in the 129s. There is a gap of half a second there. Gavin almost breaking into the 128s in fact. Let's see if we do get a 128 before the end of this session. I don't doubt it. If that was the first lap, I wonder what he's got left for that second stint.
The VW does a 129.8.
Seems like Nizmax, Wazzy and Little Piece all went out but did not set lap times, returned back to the pits. So their first stints not going as planned. Wezza into the 129s as well. 0.02 of a second from Cameron. Top four all in 129s. But those lap times keep on coming down. Is somebody going to beat Gavin? He's been fastest in Q2. And from the first lap he set in Q3. He's got that half a second cushion.
Yes, he does.
Still got three very fast drivers who have not set a lap time. So that top five could change.
Little Piece is out. He's on an out lap.
Yeah, he's on an out lap now, so we know he's quick. He'll obviously be looking to infiltrate that top three as well. Can he get into the 129s? We haven't seen it yet. Gavin was the only man to get into the 129s before Q3. Now another three drivers have achieved that feat. Iggy not far off for the 130.1. But I think we might see a 128. Iggy now goes over the start-finish line to start his fast lap. Wazzy has also come out on an out lap.
And Little Piece goes deep into turn one.
Nizmax is leaving the pit garage. So, all three drivers that did not set a lap time, they're out on the track.
Nizmax is still in the pits.
Yeah, Nizmax still sitting in the pits. Maybe just waiting for the right time. Wanting to go out right at the end of the session. Riding on board with Little Piece.
We made a mistake in turn 1.
Heavy lock up into the chicane. Will he come into the pits or will he try and get a lap on the board? He doesn't get a lap on the board. He comes into the pit lane. Whatever he needs to change, he'll want to do it quickly and get back out on track.
Was he on a fast lap?
Average lap time around here, obviously 1.5 minutes, 3 minutes left on the clock. So you won't want to spend too much time in the pits. Was he now on his fast lap, approaching DW? Hopefully it won't hamper his lap time, and it won't. Pulls aside very just at the right time. Let's see what he can post here. I'm sure this will be the first. I'm sure he'll go for a second lap, but for the time being, that's a 129.3. It's good enough for second place. 129.3. And he's still got fuel in that car. He's got a second lap in that car. Also got Gav. Currently in first. He's out on an out lap. He's out there in case he needs to improve. We've got Iggy. He's just taken third place, 129.4. So those 129s becoming a lot more common. Top 6 drivers all in the 129s. 5th and 7th. Nizmax yet to set a lap time, and Little Piece is on his out lap.
That's not too long for lap now.
Fastest man on track for the time being on provisional pole. He begins his fast lap, his final attempt for the 100% race distance Suzuka event. Seems like there was a collision between Wazi and DW. I just caught the end of that, not really sure what happened. He applied the brakes and well, DW drove into the back of him. And that's what I saw.
I only saw the normal part of it. This match does a 130.2 to sitting in was like sitting in 7th.
Let's see,
back off.
Well, if Wazi's retired, then he can back off. Doesn't need to improve. Doesn't need to risk anything. Park the car. I think he's safe. The only man on track that hasn't set a lap time is Little Piece from the circuit now. You're looking to break into that looking to break into the top 5. And look at that, he goes second at 1:29.3 right at the end there. I was on board with Little Piece. I'm not sure what happened to my left on the pit straight.
I saw what happened. Thank God I'll bring you some footage a little bit later.
Something interesting happening there on the outside. Luckily for Little Piece, didn't get, or seems like he didn't get distracted. That's a 1:29.3. Maybe he did. Maybe that was the difference between second and pole. That's one of those things.
If I'm right, it was Pete's McLaren who was, I'm not sure if he was over the line, and then Reza came over the line, and then the McLaren took off the Mercedes, the Merc front wheel over the line.
Well, at least yeah, there's the Merc. You can still see the Merc. It's on the pit straight. And clearly that wheel's not supposed to be there. Just waiting for the clock to run down. Can't see anyone on track who can potentially change this result. You can start going down some of the results. I don't see how the results can change. Seems like Gavin going to take first place with a 1:29.1. That was the first lap time he set. Little Piece. Yeah, then the only lap time. Little Piece second, the 1:29.3, leaving it very late, but you'll be happy with that. Wazi in third, just 300ths of a second off second. So that top 3. Any predictions? Let's carry on with it. Let's just carry on with the rest of the list. We've got Iggy 4th. Sorry, TnB Weather 5th. Cameron 6th in the McLaren. TnB DW in 7th. Nizmax 8th. And we've got Pitt in 9th in the second McLaren. So both getting through to Q3. That's a first good step for McLaren in the weekend.
Interesting is Wazi and DW both has 5-place grid penalty.
Unfortunately, I can't even work that out right now. We're gonna have to wait and see where they're gonna land up starting.
Wazi, I think, will start 7th. DW 12th or 13th, I think.
So that could definitely throw a spanner in the works. Not 12, 13. That's not really where you want to start going into turn 1 here at Suzuka. It's an interesting corner. A lot of drivers have a lot of different braking points and turning points. And you've just got to keep your car undamaged, basically. Everyone doing the final touch-ups to their setup. And that time has come to an end. Let's start the formation lap.
Wazi is 8th, sorry. And DW is 12th. Of the penalty.
So it looks like 8th and 12th. Not really where you want to start, 12th around Suzuka. And you see now further down the order some of the guys we lost in Q2. Got Springbok Gamer, he's starting in 11th. So he actually he's gonna land up starting ahead of his teammate because of that penalty. So the Force Indians will be starting in 11th and 12th. Another man that got dropped out in Q2 was the judge in 13th, Toro Rosso. You know, he's a hard driver and he'll race till the end. You could still get points out of this yet. Captain Ice, 14th. been having a few good results in the Red Bull, but today is starting a lot lower than he would have liked. Obviously, retiring from Q1 due to damage before he could set a lap.
Yeah.
But
And
Death Seeker in... Sorry?
Nice. It also happened to Captain Nice. Lost his wheel before setting lap time.
That's right. 15th place, we got Death Seeker, also retiring in Q1. And in 16th, starting from the back, didn't take part in qualifying, joined a bit late, but managed to make the race. We've got Toki coming in 16th place. Maybe actually a safe place to be in turn 1. Still got the grid reforming. Gavin at the front, he's been sitting there for a while. Feels like a really long time. Got to keep your concentration. The only thing on your mind right now can be turn 1. Here we go. 5 red lights. And they're away. Seems like Gavin got a good start. Got good traction off the start there. They head towards the first corner. Ooh. And somebody's off. Somebody's wide into the gravel. I'll keep my eyes on the leaders. Rob, you tell me what's happened at the back. Who is it?
It's Iggy and John lost it as well, and John has lost some in play.
From race control can say that Little Piece has got a 5-second stop-go penalty for gaining a position. Here at the front, but the Haas driver, Gav, fastest in Q2, fastest in Q3, started in pole, leading the race by 1.5 seconds on lap 1. And yeah, he got a clean start, and he didn't get involved in any of that behind him.
We are still in the first part of the S's. Oh no, that's not. Okay, that's out of the S's, sorry. Now I'm finishing sector 1.
Little Piece in second.
Iggy has lost his wheel.
Seems like Iggy has retired from the session. That's the end of Russia. Sorry, that's the end of the Russian driver in Japan. Just the 1 lap. Frustrating race from the beginning. Ran wide at corner 1.
That's an interesting place because that's right on the racing line there.
Well, we have Little Piece still in second, chasing Gavin. That gap's gone from 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds, so Gavin increasing that lead. In third place, we've got your teammate, the McLaren driver, Cameron, in third place, doing a good job for now.
DW had an excellent start from
Cameron.
To P7.
Sorry to interrupt, but as you say that, Cameron goes second. Cameron has gone second. Little Piece ran wide. It allowed Cameron and Weather to pass. So Little Piece has gone down to 4th.
Something happened to Wazzy's off in the grass.
Let's have a look.
In place.
He's rejoined the circuit. Let's ride on board with him just to see if there's any damage. None that I can see.
It looks like all of the in place are still intact. And who left? Iggy was there.
Seems like Iggy was hosting the session. Well, he's left now. So again, let's hope. Fastest lap by Gavin, a 1:34.4. Increasing that gap at the front now, 4.1 seconds. Second place, Cameron in the McLaren, having a good return. Hasn't had the the kind of season he would have liked so far, with 2 non-finishes and 2 non-appearances, or something like that. I may be wrong. Or 3 non-appearances. 2 non-finishes and 3 non-appearances. Where do you see a battle?
DW, Pete, and Mismatch.
TnB DW, he'll be wanting to come up the order. Want to get to the front. Gonna have to get past the McLaren. McLaren's doing a great job. It's not good news for you. You're just lucky you're leading the championship, or you might have been out of a job. They're in 2nd and 5th.
I can tell you, DW is the biggest winner at the start of their race.
That's right, he's picked up 6 positions. Springbok Gamer in 14th and Jean in 15th, both having made pit stops, so obviously getting damage early on in the race. Little Piece is in 4th, but remember, he's on softs. So is DW in 6th.
Yes.
Both got pace, and they're both on a slower tyre. And at a later stage, everybody's going to have to use that slower tyre, and the roles will reverse.
Riding on board with Mismax. That is the traffic heating up.
DW, he's behind 5th and 5th place, trying to get past, and it's allowed Nismax to really close up. So now he's worried about getting past, and he's also worried about his mirrors. Rather difficult position to be in.
It looks like Pete made a mistake coming out of the game.
DW is side by side, and he's past him. Gets Will Nismax go? Not yet. Doesn't want to leave it for too long. Doesn't want DW to get away too far up the road, considering he is on softs. Nismax is on super softs. He needs to be setting his quickest times now. Little Piece, as I go through the cars, I get to Little Piece and I watch him leave the circuit into the gravel just before the hairpin, and that's allowed DW to catch up and pass him for 4th place. And now Little Piece has entered the Pit Nismax battle.
Looks like Pete is going for a move.
I do believe if Little Piece runs wide again, something not right. It's the 3rd occasion on which I've seen him run wide, and this time sustains a lot of damage, and at the worst possible place. Sustains damage, has to drive past the pits, and now has to do an entire lap on a car that's not going to feel good. So going to be losing time to Captain Ice, coming up behind him rather quickly. And you can just see the downforce, as easy as you like it, and nothing Little Piece could do. Was he now also coming up behind him? Runs wide onto the gravel, and Wazzy goes through into 9th.
Something that we missed. Max has made a move on speed for 5th place.
No, we did miss that. Nismax now in 5th place. If we wanted to get after TnB DW, he got away a little bit. About a second up the road now.
There's good news for the Judge and Toro Rosso. They are into the top 10.
That's right, they're into the points. Let's see what's happening for the drivers that are outside of the points. You see 11th place, Little Piece. Yeah, he's obviously going to dive into the pits now. Had a terrible collision on the previous lap, and he's been pushed all the way down to 11th. It's going to promote, that actually promotes Death Seeker. As I say that, he's going to go into 11th now. Springbok Gamer.
Little Piece serving second stop go penalty.
He's got the penalty, he's got the wing change, it's a long stop. Where's Springbok Gamer? He's coming over the start finish line, he's gonna pass him. We've got a brilliant helicopter shot for a second there. And Springbok Gamer gets promoted up to 12th place. Little Piece down to 13th.
Toki also gets past Little Piece.
Around the outside, should have been easy. Was on obviously the warmer tyres. Little Piece trying to get temperature into his tyres, couldn't defend the position immediately. Are you seeing funny things on your screen? If you look at Little Piece's Williams, look at his tyres.
Super soft.
All the way. Well, I see super soft on the front and soft on the back. Something I had at the last Grand Prix.
Yeah, I can tell we just lost our second car underneath the bridge. Toki.
It's a Toki sitting right under the bridge. Wheel is missing from the car. And that's another DNF. So 14 runners left on lap 8 of 53. Hope we don't lose them at this rate. Gavin, on the other hand, is having a race all of his own. 7.8 seconds up the road. He's led from the start of the race. Really enjoying Suzuka.
Just needs to keep calm.
Track he always looks forward to. Track he gets a bit of stick about. He's retired a few times, but seems like this time round his head's where it needs to be. And it seems effortless. Got to mention Cameron S 2001 in second place. Been doing a great job on his return. Been absent for 3 weeks. And had bad luck in the first 2 races of the season, so hasn't managed to get onto the points table as of yet. This will be a great way to start. If you were to start with 20 points. That's still a way far away. TnB Wes is in third. In the first of the Mercs. Not far behind now. TnB DW and Nismax approaching that final podium spot. So Weza could be coming under pressure in the next couple of laps. Toki now has left the session.
Yep.
So hopefully that won't... Sorry, what's that?
No, you can finish your sentence.
So hopefully that won't affect the slipstream. We know that sometimes when people leave the session, it does affect the slipstream. Hopefully it doesn't do that. 2 have left now.
Just to confirm, Jonathan, on Wazzy's car, does he have front wing damage or on the right side, on the right and the left side?
Let's have a look here. Well, it looks like to me he's got damage on the right. He's got a few elements missing there. So obviously the car not ideal, but not wanting to make a pit stop, wanting to stick to the pit strategy. Or he's coming in. He's coming in. As I say that, he dives into the pits. Now what tyre will he go onto? Onto a set of softs? What kind of strategies do you think we're looking at here?
It's not really easy to say.
Do you think anyone could stretch a single pit stop strategy?
Yes.
If the mediums are involved.
Yeah.
So
They're not likely to do the one stop if the drivers are started on the start.
which would have been Little Piece, but he was in a much stronger position at the beginning of the race. He's now not in that position, so it would be DW, Staffy, Captain Ice. Just have a look. Yeah. Staffy, Captain Ice, DW. Could those drivers be looking to go as far as they can and then get onto a set of mediums? All just speculation for now. No idea what these guys are thinking or what they're planning.
But there's a battle for fourth going on.
There's Max behind DW as he has been for most of the race. Hasn't really let him get away. Keeping him honest throughout. So difficult when you've got a car in close proximity for an extended period of time like this. You just can't make a mistake, you can't run wide. And your concentration has got to get to another level. Is Max still there? Little Piece now retired from the session, so that's the third retirement. Down to 13 runners.
You've had enough.
Going from a very strong position in the race, qualifying in second, then starting the race on softs, putting him in a very strong position, and then a comedy of errors. Some unfortunate events, and eventually just having enough, and he's called it a day. So we've had three finishes, three drivers not being able to get to lap 15 here at Suzuka, a challenging race circuit.
He has received the 5-second stop go penalty for stealing the pit lane.
See that Nizmax, who was in a battle with DW for 4th place, he has come into the pits.
maybe trying the undercut. And the Mercedes of Weather is ghosting.
Let's have a look at Weather. Where is he on circuit?
There's AI.
And there we go. DW will get promoted. Goes through the ghost of the Mercedes into third place. He's now on the podium. Let's have a look at the gap between third and second. The gap is 5 seconds, so he'll be looking to get after Cameron now. Remember, DW started on the softs, Cameron started on the super softs. So at some point those super softs are going to start going off, and these softs are going to come into their own. Needs to get that gap down as much as possible.
Well, now there's a battle coming up for first place, Cathy and Captain Ice.
Captain Ice in the second of the Red Bulls. Had a mixed weekend so far. So I think he'll be happy with his position, 6th place. Obviously he's still needing to pit. I think he started on these softs. So maybe also going for the one stopper. Obviously we'll only get a clearer idea of who's doing what after everyone's had that first round of pit stops. W is gaining ground slowly on Cam. Come down 0.3 of a second in the last lap.
I can tell you something, Wally has made a second pit stop.
Salvo driver just not having a good evening in at Suzuka. Finds himself in 12th place.
Cameron takes the lead. Gavin made a pit stop.
Gavin now returns to the circuit, going through the S's as we speak. He's 7 seconds adrift. Sorry about that, 12 seconds adrift of the leader. So he'll surely retake the lead. Seeing as these two in front of him. But now Cameron on the super softs. So it should be soon that he pits. But DW on the soft. Want to see how long can he take those tires.
And Weza's back in his car.
Back in his car, but I'm sure he'll be very annoyed to find himself in 4th place at a crucial part of the race when pit stops are starting to get involved. You don't want to be going around doing a few laps at that speed. Actually, one of our DNFs is the current fastest lap, the 1:33.7. That's for Little Piece.
Well, Cameron has now moved back down to 4th after making his pit stop onto the softs.
Weza in 3rd place on that set of super softs. He has not made a pit stop. It's actually lucky. We know sometimes when the car ghosts, it goes into the pits unnecessarily. So hopefully that didn't affect his strategy. Gavin in second place. That gap just 5 seconds, and he's making up a lot of ground on DW. He's closing that gap. It was 7 seconds, now just 5. Maybe not even going to wait for DW to make his pit stop. Looks like he might even, you may even catch him on circuit. And now Wes, he's in the pits. Well, he's leaving the pits. And now he's going down the order. It gets on the straight now as Weza leaves the pit lane. It's going to be close into the first corner. Weza will defend that position, and there's I'm not sure if there was contact. I don't see damage.
No, I didn't see any contact. But it was very close to contact.
I thought I saw damage on my screen. Seems like Weza has claimed that position. Almost looked like he was going to give it back 2 or 3 corners later, but then
that's a nice quick statue.
Goes up into 5th. Another good result so far for the Red Bull team. Been doing this all season.
You can tell you Nurse Max is catching Cameron.
Looking at the championship, Gavin's got 53 points to your 70, so this would be a great result for him, not for you.
No, if I'm not mistaken, we will take the championship lead.
That's right, he will. If it finishes with Gavin in the lead, he will take the championship lead by 8 points. Cameron at least there in 3rd place, getting some points for your constructor. Second of the McLarens, still in the points in 8th place. Both McLarens in the points. As I say that, I think I'm just going to get away from Pit here. Started talking about him and he started weaving on the circuit. Just a confirmation from Little Piece that he just had enough.
Things didn't really go his way at the start. I don't know. Sorry.
I think what makes it worse was his position at the start. He was in a very strong position, and then everything went wrong in space of 2 or 3 laps, and that was enough.
Springbok Gamer overtakes this because it looks like this he can make a mistake.
So second Force India, also in the points. Have a look at Wazzy. Currently running around in 11th in the Salva. Not having his best drive, but still looking to get into the points before the end of this race. He's currently in 11th with a long way to go, so he can still find his way back to the points. But the second Salva in 12th, so the Salva's in 11th and 12th, both running.
Cameron runs wide into turn 1 and that allows Mismatch to go through.
That third place on the podium. Has he just lost that third place on the podium? This backs up into third. So as it stands, we've got Force India, followed by Haas, followed by Red Bull, followed by Merck, and then your second Red Bull of Captain Ice in 5th place.
He's in the McLaren, Jonathan.
Who's that?
Before the second Red Bull.
Sorry about that. Sixth place in the Williams, got Staffy. In the Merc, with TnB Wezo. He's had a mixed race of ups and downs, found himself on the podium, looked actually comfortable for a potential podium spot, but now finds himself down in 7th. Things change quickly. Second McLaren driver, coming in today as a reserve driver, Pitt. He's in 8th place, doing a good job. Bring that McLaren home, they'll be happy for the points. 9th place, Springbok Gamer, in the second of the Force Indias. Having a good race.
Wonder how long the battle for first is going to go on.
And I can confirm Wazzy is now in the points into 10th place. Let's join that battle at the front. TnB DW leads the race from Gav, just 0.6 of a second in it. He's obviously on the softs. Both on the softs, but TnB DW, those softs are going to be in a much worse condition. He started the race on those tyres. So Gav's going to have superior traction, superior speed in the corners. But for the sake of strategy, I believe DW needs to keep Gavin behind him as long as possible. Because this is the time he can maximize his advantage on the new tyres. So he needs to keep him back, and he needs to keep him lapping slow.
Looks like Stacky allowed Reza to go through. Typical 140R.
So Weza back into 6th place. We begin chasing down 5th. That's the second Red Bull driver, Captain Ice. Gavin's still there in 2nd, just behind DW. Gonna just want to be patient. DW is on the deteriorating tyres. Just needs to stay behind him and be patient. And at some point he's going to get the better traction. He doesn't need to force it. DW does need to keep him behind as long as possible to minimize that advantage of the new tyre. Let's have a look at third. It's actually allowed third to catch up a little bit. Taken a second out of those two on the last lap. Obviously because of the fighting. Could bring the Red Bull driver back into this race. Really close here at the front.
I think Gavin will know better than anyone else. Yeah.
Don't want this to end in tears. He's been the fastest man on circuit for most, except Q1, I believe.
Yeah, Q1 and Leverkusen was fastest in Q1.
He's been fastest in every other session. Started on pole and led from the front. Just needs to be patient in this very crucial part of the race. Does have the superior speed right now. Just wait for the mistake. And as I say that, I see Nismax takes another half a second out of these two. So the gap now down to 11.3. Was almost 14 at a stage. So allowing him to claw his way back. Cameron's still in fourth. He's not out of the running for that podium spot. A lot can happen. A lot can still unfold. Mistakes can be made. And Jeff could call you in for wets. So it's not over yet. And that last comment about Jeff calling you in for wets, that was for the judge.
Wasn't it Greenball Gamer in Austria?
I'm not even sure at this point.
No, my fault. I'm thinking about something else. Yeah, the last time it was
Ooh, that battle at the front now. They had to lap a Salba. I'm not sure which Salba it was. Presume it was Jean because I see him going down the order. They had to lap him and things almost got interesting there between first and second. Nismax running around in third. Let's see. He does have damage, seems to be damage to the right hand side of that front wing, so he's going to start losing time. Cameron's not far behind, just 2 seconds down the road. Is he going to pit? Is he going to hold out? Those tyres are still relatively new. Comes into the pits. Nismax into the pits. Has to change that damage. And just as I was saying earlier that Cameron was not out of the running for the podium, and he's back on the final step of the podium, for the time being anyway. Now that gap between first and second, it was half a second for a couple of laps there, an intense battle, and it's down to 1.1 seconds now, so Gavin just giving it a bit of room.
Can tell you, Staffy made a pit stop to change his front wing. And has gone on to the super softs, and that promotes Wazzy to 8th place.
Was he now up to 8th? 22 seconds away from the man in 7th. So that will be his next goal. Close that time down. He's already started. Already taken off a second out of him.
straight into turn 1 and lost him a second.
You don't want to forget that DW leads this race. He has not yet stopped. Those are the tyres he started on 25 laps ago. And Gavin just making one or two mistakes there and letting DW have some breathing space. Chased him down for 4 or 5 laps, but now just giving him some breathing space. Or maybe giving himself some breathing space. Jean has left the session. So that's our 4th DNF. Just 12 runners left. We carry on at this rate, it's going to be finish and get a point. The gap between first and second still sitting at 2 seconds. So Gavin not really making any impression there on the gap in the last 2 laps. Just do this and have a look at the front wing. Everything seems fine there. Not quite sure why he's just lost a bit of speed over the last couple of laps. Not being able to close that gap.
That's nice into the pits.
From 7th place, surely going to go down the order now. Pitt gets promoted to 6th.
Looks like he's going on to...
Was he still a ways down the road? So he's going to come out in 7th. Where is Wazzy? Is that Wazzy there? Yes it is. Wazzy's just 2 seconds behind Captain Ice now. So he'll be behind the Red Bull shortly. Top 6 drivers are all on softs.
Actually he's on a one-stop taking those medium tires.
That's right, I see looking like he's on a one-stop with the medium tyre. Maybe same strategy that the man up front here is going to do. But he seems to have just taken his tyres that little bit longer. Does that mean it could be in the next couple of laps?
It could be. Nesno's switched the fastest lap for 1 minute 33.7.
Well, he's done half the race distance on a set of softs. So surely he can do the other half on a set of mediums. Maybe just wanting to have that set of mediums as fresh as possible at the end. Trying to get everything he can out of this set of rubber. Gavin's still behind, but now he's closed that gap. It was 2 seconds for about 2 laps. He's closed it up again, just 0.3 of a second. And he'll be waiting. He'll be waiting for DW to come into the pits. And each time he goes past the pits, it will be agonizing. He'll be waiting for him to just dive into the pits. So he can just get some clean air.
Interesting, DW just went 2 tenths faster than his previous personal best, and that's on the previous lap.
But he's still got something in those tires. Not completely gone. He's setting personal bests on them at this point in the race. Lap 28 of 53, and he's still on a set of softs. This is probably the distance I expected from a medium. Maybe 30 laps on a medium. We have seen in other races he's always had this ability to prolong the life of tyres just that little bit longer than his opponents. We have seen it before. Now Dead Seeker retiring from the session. He's going to retire from 11th place. Let's just have a quick look if we can see what happened there. While he's on the side of the road missing a wheel. And what a funny place to go off too.
It's just after the hairpin.
This battle at the lead continues on lap 29. DW goes around the pits yet again. He's not pitting yet.
If I'm reading it right on the steering wheel, it says he went faster by 10 from that lap.
And Nismac setting the fastest lap of the race, a 1:33.575, and that was done on the soft tyre. So the soft tyre does have pace around Suzuka. And DW is a good example of that. Looking at the rear view camera here of the leader, you can see Gavin in second place, getting really close in the braking point, almost making contact. Fair driving to both of them, they've kept it clean, and this battle has been going on for quite some time. And into the chicane. Gavin just seems to go a little bit further each corner on the brakes. Just pushes the brakes a little bit more. DW just getting that superior traction out of the corner. McLaren driver Cameron still in third place. He's 11 seconds adrift of that battle at the front. And he's got a gap behind him to Nismax. It's 31 seconds. So he's actually in a really comfortable podium spot right now. Just needs to hold it together.
Taking another fastest lap.
23 laps remaining. Needs to hold it together. He's got Nismax behind him in fourth place, setting purple lap after purple lap.
Just wondering if DW is taking a soft, they maybe took on the super soft at the end.
It could be interesting. I thought that he'd be going on to mediums, but clearly now at this stage he's done 30 laps. Why would he do 20? Why would he do 23 on the medium? Side by side in the chicane, and he's got him this time. Still doesn't dive into the pits. Thought maybe losing the position might change his mind. Still holds on. The only man on circuit not to have made a pit stop. No extreme number of pit stops in this race today. Most pit stops I can see is 2.
Now the question, how fast can Kenyon catch up to DW?
Well, that gap at present is 10 seconds. We'll monitor that gap. See what kind of an impression he can make on second place. last 11 runners in this race. Judge currently in 11th place. Just that one crucial position away from the points. So we'll be hoping for something to happen in his favour there. Get another points paying position. DW still in second, but Gavin now starting to get away. He's opened that gap in one lap to 1.2 seconds. Gap down to... Carry on.
Interesting is DW only lost 2 tenths on his personal best on that lap, so his car still looks fine. They're carrying on fine at this stage.
So nothing wrong with TnB DW's pace. At this point, Gav may just be faster, but TnB DW still putting out pace. As you can see, that gap that we mentioned a little earlier to Cameron in third, I said it was 10.7 seconds, it's 10.8 now. So he's managing that gap to third. He's not losing any further time. Really now, that means Gavin in first, Cameron in third. They will both stop again. DW still waiting to make his stop. He'll just stop the once if everything goes according to plan, and if we are correct in our assumptions. But going on to mediums at this stage actually wouldn't make sense. Why would you want to go onto the hardest compound for such a short amount of laps? I say a short amount of laps, but there's still 20 laps remaining in this race. Story here in Japan is not yet over.
Was he catching up to Captain Ice?
May still be a twist in the end. Was he continuing his battle up the order, up to 8th place now. 7/10 of a second behind the second Red Bull of Captain Ice. He locks up a tad there into the chicane, pushing. Once at 7th place. Maximise all the points he can get. See this Salva driver started off in the commentary box, then abandoned the job, jumped in a car, currently in 8th. He's doing a lot better than I would. Staffy and the Williams not far behind, was he? Just 4 seconds adrift in 9th place. We've got Springbok Gamer in the final points paying position. What is that? Gavin into the pits.
And DW continues on his way on the set of shock.
Now Gavin coming out of the pits on what appears to be, if you can just confirm for me, a set of softs.
Yes, it's a set of softs.
It's on a set of softs, another set of softs. He comes out in 3rd place, 18 seconds adrift of the leader, who's now DW. He's been promoted back to the lead. It's been up and down between these two drivers. Two drivers both in the hunt for that championship. Want to maximise, both want the 25 points on the weekend. Actually, I think if they finish 1st and 2nd, that's going to push you down to 3rd in the championship. I think it's enough. 2nd place is 18 points. The gap between you and Gavin is 17. So yeah, I think if they finish first and second, it could push you down to third in the championship, but the points are going to be really close, within 7 points in the top 3, something like that. Don't trust my maths.
TW continues.
Continues past the pits yet again. How long can he take these tyres? I wish we could see the state of the tyres. Can't see that from here. Well, from what we can see on board, they don't look too bad. Don't see any obvious lines, any obvious blistering. Gap to second, 7 seconds. If he comes out on supers, I think he's going to be the only man there in the top 3 on a fastest set of tyres.
Yeah, battle now for 6th place between Captain Knight and Wazzy.
Was he wanting to get up the order as high as he possibly can? Looking at those times, so if he gets past in the near future, 4th place is a possibility.
DW is continuing past the pits again.
Gavin now going fastest in the race with a 133 flat. It's a 133.037. Fastest lap of the race. It's the man in 3rd. Setting the time all weekend.
Wazzy is looking to make a move on Captain Ice. Oh! And it looks like he lost part of his front wing.
Straight into the pits for Captain Ice and Wazzy. So obviously contact being made there.
Yep,
Back to
another wing change for Wazzy.
to 2nd place. We've got Cameron in the McLaren, 5.5 seconds adrift of your leader. He's only made the 1 stop. He's on a set of softs. Probably got, do you think he can go to the end on these softs? Can he stretch them that long? Or is he gonna, surely he's gonna pit again. He started on supers.
BW is into the pits, I can say that. And
BW finally comes into the pits to change those tyres on lap 37. And yes, set of super softs. I couldn't have predicted this at any point of the race. We have a McLaren leading in Japan on lap 37. Cameron leads. If he finishes on the podium today, I believe that will be his first podium finish, if I'm not mistaken. It will be his first podium finish since TnB Season 1 Canada, which was round 4 or 5, I believe.
I'm not quite sure.
So
And that's about 3 seasons ago.
it was 3 seasons ago. It's taken him to get back on the podium. Considering some of the bad luck he's had over the last couple of weeks. Feel great driving in the lead right now. But he'll know he needs to come in for that pit stop. Just need to wait and see. We're not sure who's doing what. All we do know is that TnB is on a set of super softs and he's going to try and go to the end of the race on them surely. He's in 4th place, behind Nizmax. I'm going to catch up to that Red Bull and dispose of him as soon as possible. Needs to maximize these fast tyres. Get everything he can out of them. And not waste any time behind cars on softs. Basically, he can't allow Nizmax to do to him what he did to Gavin.
Yes.
Holding the, obviously keeping the faster car behind him to maximize his advantage. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, that's perfectly legal, that's racing, it's track position. And those few laps that he did keep Gavin behind him did come into play at the end of the race. Nizmax currently in 3rd.
Oh.
Who's that?
Cameron comes into the pits and almost loses his wheel.
So entertaining till the end. He even entertains making a pit stop. Let's see where he comes out after all of this. He's also selected the super soft tyres, if you can confirm that.
Yes, he's gone on to a set of supers.
So for the time being, it looks like TnB and Cameron will be finishing this race on super softs if everything goes according to plan. They're currently sitting in 3rd and 4th. Gavin has made his 2nd pit stop. And Nizmax has made 2 pit stops. Now I'm not sure, is he out of sync? Does he have another pit stop? Or has he done enough pit stops to get to the end of the race? And if that's the case, then he's snuck into that 2nd position.
And was he throwing some donuts?
Absolutely, having some fun with the crowd there.
Lost another front part of his front wing.
He's having enough. I'm telling Salvo, well, I will give the car back, but first I'm going to have some fun with it. You don't want to get sent back to the commentary box. You might want to cut that out. And as I say that, retires from the session, which means we're only going to finish, well, with a maximum of 10 runners.
10 drivers.
10 runners.
And that promotes the judge up into 10.
So he's going to finish in the points yet again. Which proves that even when the race doesn't look like it's going well, holding on can be worthwhile. Gavin's still in control of this race. He leads by 8 seconds from Nizmax. This also on a set of softs.
Now the battle's gonna hit up between 2nd and 3rd.
What's really interesting to me right now is what is Nizmax's plan here in 2nd. Is he planning on taking those to the end, or is there a stop? Either way, DW on the superior tyre at this point in the race, coming up behind him pretty quickly. Shouldn't be too difficult for him. And yes, as he's going to have superior traction. Don't know if he'll try it down into the first corner. Got DRS open. Cameron goes fastest. Cameron goes fastest, 1:31.7. McLaren driver letting everyone know he's here. Intense battle here for second place. There's 0.4 of a second in it. Also just 1.5 seconds in between 7th and 8th, so that is a potential battle that could be coming up. That 41 off 53. DW and Nismax continue to battle for second place. DW will be wanting to get past. Will want to chase Gavin. He's obviously got the superior tyre. He's got that super soft versus a soft. Not much he can do about it if he's behind the Red Bull. If Nismax finishes on the podium, that is a masterful strategy. The podium did not look on the cards at one point. 3-second time penalty for Cameron. Let's hope that 3-second time penalty does not become crucial. Let's hope that whoever he finishes in front of is more than 3 seconds advantage. You wouldn't want a penalty like that to determine whether you step on the podium or not. Currently in 4th, with a substantial gap down to 5th. Can you maybe on your screen, so that we don't have to stream it, can you check are there any notable penalties under the race director? Anything that could affect these guys in close battles? A great result for the Haas team. 10 laps to go. They lead this race as they have done from the beginning. Led from pole.
Only penalties I see were from drivers still racing is Cameron. The only penalty that has retired.
Only the 3-second time penalty then. Continues to stretch that advantage at the front. It's up to 11 seconds now. So DW will want to get past this Red Bull. He's going to activate DRS over the pit straight, comes up on the gearbox of the Red Bull. Is he going to try into turn 1, goes around the outside, thinks better of it. Not just yet, not quite close enough. Maybe not worth the risk. It depends if Nismax needs to stop again. Unfortunately, I didn't take note of when he stopped, so I'm not sure if those softs can go to the end.
He stopped on the same lap as Cats and Ice, so I think he will be able to take those softs to the end.
So if he takes them to the end, then that means if DW wants the second place, wants to get into second in the championship, he's going to have to make the move. It means that if Cam wants to find his way back to the podium, he's going to have to find something very special in the last couple of laps of this race. Fortunately, I think he's running out of time for that. Will his long wait for a podium continue? As mentioned, McLaren will be happy. This could be potentially the first race of the season, being round 6, where they may have 2 cars finishing the race. Definitely a step in the right direction.
Maybe I should spend more time in the commentary box than in the McLaren, maybe.
Makes you wonder. Bev now starts lap 46. He's controlling from the front. He's got the stable gap of 10 seconds down to second place, where you'll find Nismax in the first of the Red Bulls. It's closely followed by TnB DW in that Pink Force India. He hasn't given up on second place. Not just yet. He's got the set of super softs. He should have the superior traction. Should have the superior tyre at this stage. It's going to want to get past. Going down to 4th place, was looking very comfortable for a podium earlier on in the race, but now finds himself in 4th.
This Max made a mistake underneath the bridge and DW gets past.
Thanks for spotting that. He runs wide. Allows DW to go through on the inside. Doesn't look like he's given up on the position just yet. Good defense there from DW. Good defensive driving, just closing the inside line. Now we'll see that if he's now that he's gotten past, will he be able to extend that gap? Gap down to 4th place, now 5.7 seconds away from 3rd. So Cameron would have to find approximately 6 seconds in 6 laps and make a pass. It seems like the podium has eluded him for now.
Pete Ballas also retires from the session.
It's an unfortunate retirement for the McLaren driver. He was in the points. Looks set to be the first double car finish for McLaren of the season. That's not to be. He pulls off to the side. Looks like we're just going to have the 9 finishes to this race. 47 laps of 53. And what a time to retire. 6 laps remaining. WDW's gotten into second place and he has decreased that gap. That gap was 10 seconds. It's now 9.1. 8.9 as I say that. So the gap is falling, but surely not enough time.
This match isn't really falling away from DW at this stage.
So that gap between second and third maintaining within a second, within that crucial second, which means Nismax gets the use of DRS. So it seems like your 3 podium finishes have been confirmed, but the order of second and third may still be up for grabs. Nismax won't give up till the end. So that actually makes top performing team for the day would be Red Bull. We've got 3rd and 6th place. Staffy still running around lap 48 in the Williams. Another points paying position for this season. He's had a few. We'll be happy with the result considering this track, one of the more difficult ones. Eighth place, but Springbok Gamer in the second of the Force Indias. Tough track to come to when you race the way he does. One of the drivers does not use any assists in this game, and Japan is one of the more challenging tracks on the calendar. Finishing in the points would be a good result, and then Judge just holding on there in 9th place. Finishes here, he'll pick up 2 points. Just have a look at that gap for the leader between first and second. It's 7.5 seconds. So maybe Gav just tapping off towards the end here. Just the 4 laps to go. TnBDW, he can't afford to tap off in the last couple of laps. He has Nismax right behind him, just a second down the road. So he needs to keep sharp right till the end. He could lose that position. Nismax in 3rd, and he looks safe for now. Cameron just that gap now 6.9 seconds down to 4th. Hasn't really made an impression in the last couple of laps. Suzuka historically in the 80s and 90s found its place on the calendar very late in the calendar year, and as a result it's decided many a championship along the years. It may not decide this championship, it's only round 6, but it's definitely changed its appearance. if my calculations are correct, should put Gavin in the lead of the championship, followed by DW, followed by RZDV in third. But obviously, I'm gonna let the people who do the maths do their stuff first. But I think that's right.
I think you are right there, Jonathan.
Cameron's still doing a good job in fourth place. Disappointed to have missed out on the podium. Looked like he should have had it. Having to do something different with his strategy at the beginning of the race, and some quick thinking, some quick changes were made, and he made that strategy work for him. By just keeping a consistent, quick pace throughout the race, finds himself in third. And he hasn't given up on second either.
And Dirk mismatch runs wide.
As he runs very wide, luckily finds his way back to the tarmac in a short period of time. Let's see if Cameron is able to capitalize on that. Just 2 laps remaining. The gap was 7 seconds. It's now 4.5. So it took a chunk of time out, but not enough. Watching Nismax seems to have stabilized now.
That is
More importantly, I don't see any damage. So he should be fine. Just a slight scare there, maybe a wake-up call. But it's given DW some breathing space at the end of the race here. I'm sure he'll be grateful to see some empty mirrors. And Gavin still leads up front. As he starts lap 52, the penultimate lap around Suzuka. He leads by 6.5 seconds. Everything looks comfortable. We all know he's very quick here. We all know he should be one of the quickest drivers here. He's had some bad luck here in the past, but today he's made it work. He had just gotten the quickest time in Q1. It would have been a blemish-free session. The perfect Friday night. Cameron's still in fourth. Not a lot he can do. Has to play now with his fuel mixture. Needs to start saving fuel. He's a bit low there. That fuel mixture he can't really attack at this point of the race. Needs to be conservative. Can be conservative. Weather in fifth is 25 seconds behind. But if he has any plans on catching that final podium position, conservative cannot be in the game plan.
Gavin on the final lap. Suzuka.
So Gavin begins his final lap. Goes into the S's section now for the final time. He's done it 52 times before this. And he'll just want to bring that car over the line. Under the bridge now. Halfway through this figure of 8 circuit.
I think Lesnar's made a mistake because the gap between him and Cam has come down to 1.4 seconds.
Gap is 1.4 seconds. It's now a visual gap, so we'll want to just keep our eyes on that, but we would need to keep an eye on the leader. Now heading up that back straight, if you can call it a straight. He's starting to weave around. Don't get too excited. Goes into the final chicane for the final time, goes over the right hand bend onto the main straight, and he's going to win in Japan. He's going to win round 6. That's 25 crucial points in this championship. As I say that DW crosses the line, he's going to take 18 crucial points in this championship. If my calculations are correct, that's going to put Gavin in the lead of the championship by 6 points. And DW and RZDV will be separated by 1 point. Nizmax came over the line in 3rd. Cameron managed to finish on his return to TnB, 4th place. I think he'll be happy with that result overall. TnB Weather comes through in 5th. Staffy must have been a lap behind because he's already classified in 7th. We're waiting for the 2nd Red Bull of Captain Ice to come through in 6th. Still at the bottom of the circuit. Judge also a few laps behind. He's been classified in 9th. Springbok Gamer classified in 8th. The last man to go over the line will be Captain Ice. To take 6th place. He's going to enter that final chicane. And there we go, 6th place to the 2nd Red Bull driver. He weaves over the line. We'll be happy with that. And well, what a race. It was dominated by Gavin. He kept his pace throughout. Don't think he was ever pushed really to his limit. DW did a great job. Stretched those soft tyres beyond what I thought was possible. He'll be happy with 2nd, and I think the surprise of the day for me is Nizmax in 3rd. I honestly thought that was going to be a very comfortable 3rd place for McLaren, but he snuck his way in there through obviously a smart strategy at the end of the day. Just go through the rest of your runners, you know, your top 3. 4th place, Cameron in the McLaren. 1st of the Mercedes drivers, Weza in 5th. Captain Ice in 6th. Staffy finishing 7th. We've got Springbok Gamer in 8th and the 2nd of the Force Indias. Judge in 9th. And then we have a flurry of drivers that have left. I'm not even going to try and remember who's who. Okay, do you guys want driver interviews?
Yeah, we can go for it.
Yeah, let's try it. Need to invite Gav and Nizmax. Okay, well, we have invited the other 2 drivers to join us for a short interview, but while we wait for them, we do have TnB DW. He's already available. So let's start with TnB DW, finished in 2nd place. You happy with the result? Do you think you could have got 1st, or you happy with 2nd?
I'm happy with 2nd, obviously. With 2nd of 12 to 2nd, I couldn't have actually wished for better. I was just aiming for podium. And then when I saw actually my tire management actually quite good, I thought I'm going to try one stopper with softs to super soft, which worked out pretty well, to be honest.
That what was the state of those soft tires when you eventually stopped?
They were about 73%.
I thought
That
as
felt
much.
good, to be honest.
We were actually monitoring your lap times, and you were doing personal bests well into the life of the tire. So
Yeah, I was pretty happy with that. I think if it wasn't for the 5th place grid penalty, I think I could have challenged Gav for the win. But I must say, Gav was very consistent as well. I tried to hold him up a bit when I was in front of him, but he was just too fast and he got past.
yeah, congratulations on second. Let's interview third place, and then we'll do first last. Robbie, do you want to interview third place?
You can go ahead, Jono.
Hey Nismax, how's it going? How did you find your race? I was actually, from my perspective, I was actually quite surprised to find you in third place. I'm not sure how the strategy worked out, but you crept in there. Cameron looked quite comfortable with third, but you managed to take that away. Oh. Happy with third place in Japan. It's always a challenging track, so I think a podium is a good result. Fantastic. Fantastic, and congratulations. First place, Gavin, are you with us?
I sure am.
Fastest in Q1, fastest in Q2, fastest in Q3, led from the beginning, won the race, dominated. Is this the Japan you enjoy?
Yep.
The Japan.
Finally, I get to one of my favorite track.
The track we know you're quick at this circuit, but you've had a few retirements here, and you've got a bit of stick from it in the past. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you must be relieved to do it, and to do it over the 100% distance. It's probably the most difficult way to do it.
Yeah, very relieved. I was a bit worried when I got stuck behind the vet there. Got my blood boiling there. I was just waiting for him to pit. But yeah, luckily I got past him there. That was a bit of a hair-raising situation, but luckily it all worked out well.
Yeah, I was thinking the whole time, just keep your head. He needs to stop. But he did go a lot longer than I expected him to. Than both of us expected him to. Yeah, in the commentary box, we were quite surprised. Every lap we were going, and he goes around the pits again. So yeah.
Yeah, I lost a lot of time behind him there. But anyway, yeah, I got past him. Just a little bit of patience, and eventually I got past.
Well, it was a great result, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I hope it's more to come in the season. You know, you're leading the championship, if my math is correct.
Oh wow!
And if my math is correct, you're leading the championship by 6 points, followed by the vet, who's leading from this man sitting in the commentary box. He's dropped from first to third. So yeah, I guess that's the end of that. That's the end of Japan. It was
Let's hope the next race. So I think this is going to be quite an interesting season. Everybody's very, very close. So it's small errors.
Well, we had a great Friday night here in Japan, and we're going to call it a night. We'll be back next week for round 7 in Austria at the Red Bull Ring. So an extremely fast circuit, probably less complicated than Japan. I think a lot of drivers will be looking forward to that. And maybe we'll have the championship contender and co-commentator back in a car. And well, we'll see you then.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.
Cheers, guys.